On Fortune's list of 500 companies in 2015, China had 98 companies. It was second only to the US that had 128 companies on the list. If you take a close look, you'll find out that 12 top Chinese companies are all state-owned. They include massive banks and oil companies that the central government controls through the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission of the ruling state. So of the 98 companies on the list, only 22 are private. For Nigeria to succeed, for Nigeria to grow at the rate we want it to, government must have business in business. Nigeria is a mixed economy. Private and government participate. But the government has adopted a role of government has no business in business. That is, the government should only create a conducive environment and leave capitalism to take the center stage. In a nation where we have great shortfalls in housing, in healthcare, and education, a nation where a man is struggling to meet up provision for basic amenities that normally he should have as a citizen, how can the government fold its hands and expect that people will be able to build businesses as their counterparts in other climes? There is need for the government to have a design for building big businesses for the majority who can't by themselves run or own one. You may be wondering, so where will government get this money? Considering the fact that, we're stretched already. But government is already spending money. It only needs to, find a way to coordinate this money to have better yields. For example, Nigeria gives a stipend of 30,000 to a graduate under Empower. This is meant to start, to last for about 2 years. This means each of them will collect 720,000 from government purse in the period. 20 of these young graduates will collect over 21 million naira. 21 million is not a joke. Many business owners who employ up to 50 don't have up to that. If these are under Empower Agro, for instance, they can form a company that plants cocoa or palm tree, for the long term. And they may, plant maize, soya, rice, and others like that, and back them, in the short term. With this amount of money, they will have what they need to buy the implements, so that they don't operate, with cutlasses and hoes. The short-term crops will provide salaries for them, while they grow their cash crops, which eventually they can, which will give them, later on, they can harness loans to begin a processing company. In a nation where we have need for millions of jobs, how can we say government has no business with business? The reason is that in the Nigerian experience, every business government puts its hand does not succeed. And also because we want to emulate some developed nations, we say government has no business with business. The real problem is that we don't have an accountable public service. No transparency in public service. The people are not allowed to play a role in checking the excesses of its servants. When we mingled with some Chinese socially, we discovered that most of them worked with one company or the other that was owned or partly owned by the government. In China, government has business in business. Nigeria must develop a plan to establish as many companies as will absorb the unemployed. In China, not only does government, get involved in establishing companies, they also monitor that such companies are not allowed to go public. Rather, they have arrangements for part ownership by the chief executive officer and, and workers. Two birds killed with one stone. Committed staff, which makes the company thrive and large numbers of financially solid citizens arise. This is what we should emulate. Desperate times need desperate measures. Let us face our fears head on. Corruption is predominant in our public service. Civil servants and politicians alike collude to rob us of our common assets. Following the China example, we must punish corruption in civil service as it is done in China. We must be ruthless in dealing with theft of our common good. You may say, well, theirs is death sentence, and so death sentence is too grave. But that's That is because we do not thoroughly weigh the consequence of the funds for a clinic that has been embezzled. We do not consider how many died due to that. We do not consider how many lives are lost because our police allow criminals caught to go back on the streets because they take bribes from them. Government is responsible for giving you and I justice when we are wrong. When someone steals from you, government is responsible for giving you justice. Yet people get away with stealing from government. This does not build people's confidence in the system. We must stop this evil of civil servants colluding with politicians to wreak havoc on our nation. We must remove sentiments and unhealthy, soft emotions from our minds when treating this evil in public service. To grow at the rate we want to solve the problem on unemployment and grow our infrastructure and do the things we have in mind, government has business in business. In fact, government has a big role to play in business. That is my second lesson learned in China.